Hey everybody, it's your old pal Chuck, and I'm back with another review. And today we're taking a look at from the Transformers Rise of the Beast main line. This is Voyager class Rhinox. Now, I'm using the term mainline, and other reviewers have used the term mainline, but I don't know if I've mentioned this. These figures, basically the Deluxes, the Voyagers, they're actually called, the whole line is called Core, which, as we all know, is also a size class in generations. So I don't know if that's actually leading to the problem of not being able to find these figures at retail shelves. I got this figure from Collecticon.com, and the reason I went with this figure is that it's newer, and apparently people are actually starting to find this figure as opposed to Optimus Prime and Optimus Primal, the Wave 1 figures. This is part of Wave 2. We're starting off in Rhino mode. Very nice. Very. This is, instead of looking like a actual um, what's the term I'm looking at? An actual living rhino with robots underneath. This really blends the robotic and organic detailing. And what I find kind of cool is, let me just bring them in here. If you've been collecting line like I have, you have now a nice little assortment of Rhinoxes, different sizes, different styles. There is also apparently a smash and change one that's coming. I think it's been found in some countries, but that's kind of cool. Let me do a little. So I can do a little stacking here, And oh yeah, I can do that. Look at that. So I mean, but as of right now, this is all there is. Will there be a flex changer? Who knows? I know we're getting a repaint of the battle master here, but other than that, who knows? So I mean, that is kind of cool that you do have your selections and assortments. Rhinox does come with, has an opening jaw here, as you can see. Yep. Hi there. How are you? And it's chain guns of doom, which in this regard I do appreciate that they did mold in the balls. Now, if you remember the original Rhinox toy, it wasn't a chain gun. It was literally just a spinning disc that had these two black chain flails on it. That in the cartoon was turned into a chain gun. So I like that little homage to the original toy. They do peg into the front legs here. I thought maybe you might be able to store them underneath here on the foot pegs. You can't even really see that. Oh, there you go. Right underneath, but it just doesn't fit and doesn't allow the figure to close up. So there's that. So if you don't want a weaponized Rhino, you gotta leave them off to the side. So I mean, there's really not much in terms of articulation. The front legs and back legs can move back and forth, but that's really just for the transformation. And when you start moving them around, you break up the overall look of the figure. So that's about it. We'll pause and come back for the transformation. Okay, to do the transformation, if you haven't already, go ahead and remove the weapons. We'll start off with the legs. What you want to do is come in on the side here and pop open these panels. From what I've heard from people, this is probably the easiest to transform Rhinox that we've gotten from generation. Easier than the Thrilling 30, much easier than the Kingdom figure. So there's that. Just keep in mind when going back to Rhino mode, there's a tab here, goes into a slot there, but then there's a little peg that actually goes into the hole right there. And you want to make sure that peg sits in so that the panels sit as flush as possible. Go ahead, straighten out this section, and then what you can do is then break the back here. Going to pull it out and bring that section down. Now, you'll notice here that these hinges will come up, but really what you want to make sure, because this is the knees, you want to bring up that whole section where the tab is. So try to do it like that, and it's a little tricky just because the joint is so tight, so you might get one and not the other. And it might help if you separate the legs so you can just focus on one at a time, but there you go. You have them up just like that. So what you can do now is, let's turn the figure over, fold up the Rhino rear legs, bring up this panel, and it will tab into place just like so. Do that on both sides. Make sure you get it in. There you go. You can bring the foot down, flip up the toe, and then you can close these panels right here in the front. And then rotate the figure at the waist, and then rotate the legs around right above the knee. Old standard, transformation trick, the double swivel. I appreciate seeing it here. It cleans up the leg very nicely. Obviously, I think if there was a way to have these panels fold in, that would be a little bit nicer. But I think we're limited at the size of the figure. Now, for the upper torso, what I would recommend is bring the front legs out to the side, and let's go ahead and bring back this entire Rhino section. It does peg in, so you want to have it hinge out like this. You can flip up that undersection now, and what needs to happen is not this section, but this section right here has to rotate upward and inward. And I find that if you just push with your thumb and help get it started, it will rotate into place, and then using your thumb, it will snap in. Be very careful that's when going to Rhino and from Rhino, that's the panel that rotates, because this one rotates very freely. And if you just rotate this one, you're not going to transform the figure right. Let's bring the arms down. You can then bring down this whole back section, and there's a little tab right under the chin of the Rhino that will peg into a slot in the back there. That will help clean up the back section ever so slightly. Rotate the robot head around, and then basically all we're left to do is rotate the forearms right above the elbow, flip out the fists, and here we have Rhinox in its robot mode. And like I said, a very easy transformation. Once you do it a couple times, it is kind of fun. You can go ahead. Let's bring in the chain guns of doom. What's nice is, instead of just holding them, they do cover the hand, so it's like that whole transforms out of the fist type of deal. So that's nice. And they do spin. Just as a point of note, you can remove the rhinoceros's horn. It is shown to actually peg into the shoulder, like so. A little bit of extra decoration. I don't like removing it that much, just because, as you can see, it's a post and tab, so it's not that easy to get in or out. And the more you do it, I find that the less it sits properly. I'm a little disappointed by Rhinox's head. It's very neutral, stoic, and unemotional, and that's not the character I remember from the few episodes of Beast Wars I've seen. Other than that, you do have that whole arm swivel, hinge, outward movement, 90-degree bend at the elbow, the swivel, no swivel at the hands, waist articulation is still present, universal joint at the hips, 90-degree bend at the knee. You do end up breaking it ever so slightly, and of course you do have some ankle pivot and the swivel. Let's not forget the swivel. So you have a very nice articulated Voyager class Rhinox. Now, as of this recording, we have seen the Studio Series version, which looks a lot closer to the version of Rhinox that we're seeing in the film. So there's that. That comes with a missile launching battle hammer. Try saying that 5 times fast. But that won't be coming until towards the end of the summer, the earliest. So right now, this is your option, as well as the other Battle Masters, Battle Changers, and what have you, to getting a Rise of the Beast Rhinox toy. And before we wrap things up, I just have to do this. Wiggle that out. Ooh, that does sit in very tightly, but you, of course, you can have Rhinox hold himself. You can, peg the chain gun in right there, and you have Rhinox holding Rhinox as a Gatling gun. We have a Transformers Inception here, people. Transformers Inception. I mean, this is one of the fun things with these movie lines that you can do, that you because there's so many different versions of the core characters at the different scales, that you can have fun with it and create things like this, which I think is pretty cool. So that's really about it for the review. We'll pause and we'll come back with my final thoughts. As I said in the beginning, Rhinox is a fun figure, has a great transformation, fairly easy, and which makes it very enjoyable. But it's fun. It's fun to do. I really like how the legs come together. Um, the You then end, and then you do the torso transformation. I mean, really, once you get the hang of rotating that inner disc around, the figure comes out pretty well. I mean, there's really no complaining or stuff of that nature. So definitely, I think this figure is worth a pickup if you can find it. I know that, hey, there's issues finding the figures and stuff like that, so hopefully it'll work out for you that you can grab it when you see it. Now, as I said, I got mine from collecticontoys.com. Um, I'm pretty sure I did hear it starting to show up in Targets, so there's that. But so keep an eye out and we'll see what happens. But that's it for the review. If you like this review, like, comment, and subscribe. That always helps with the algorithms with YouTube. If you want to make the ultimate sign of support, I do have a Patreon. It is www.patreon.com/ChuckDog1999. All I ask for is $1 a month, $12 a year. No thrills, no tiers, no special rewards. All you're doing is helping me help you bring figures like Rhinox to you, as well as keeping up the infrastructure of the channel. But as I always say, if you can't afford the $1 a month, $12 a year, your views are more than thanks enough. Patreon is just a cherry on top of an already generous sundae. That's about it. This is your old pal Chuck. Once again, for Rhinox, we will see you next time.